My beloved child, do not let your pain make you forget the reason I have kept you here. The memories you are trying so hard to bury may be the very ground where I am planting the seed of a new vocation. I did not take away the one you love in order to leave you empty, but so that your hands might be free to take hold of the sacred inheritance I am now giving you. Long ago, after the prophet Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elisha, his faithful disciple, collapsed under the weight of his grief. He tore his garments and sobbed because he had lost his master, his spiritual father. Yet in that very moment of shattering, Elisha saw the cloak of Elijah falling from him. It was not just a keepsake, but a sign of mission. I was entrusting to him the power and responsibility to carry on the journey. From that moment, he no longer lived for his pain, but to complete the part that remained in my plan. In the same way, every time someone you love is taken from you, it may not be an ending, but the beginning of the stretch of road I desire you to walk. My child, there are sorrows so deep they make you feel as though you want to let go of everything. And yet in that very silence I am whispering to you, I know you no longer want to hear anyone's advice. You do not want to be consoled. You just wish everything would stop. But I tell you truly, in that lowest place, where you have nothing left to cling to, I am touching your soul in the clearest way. Your pain is not random, and your tears are never meaningless. You think you are merely watching a video to pass the time, or listening to a message just to try it. But if something inside you suddenly trembles, that is not just emotion, that is my word. Do not reject it simply because it comes in a simple form. I am knocking at your heart through the smallest of things, to let you know that I am still here, and that this call is no accident. You still remember that person's last look, don't you? In that gaze there was not only the sorrow of parting, but also a mission entrusted to you. Often you do not understand why. After they are gone, you become stronger, more profound, or suddenly have intuitions you never had before. Do not dismiss that as coincidence. It is the fruit of the prayers they quietly lifted up for you over so many years. The one who has departed can no longer speak, yet their prayer remains alive in the heights of heaven. They have not only left you memories but also a spiritual inheritance, faith, mercy, lessons learned, and even a mission that you are now invited to continue. I do not want you to hold that inheritance only in your tears. Let it bear fruit in your actions, in the way you live, in every life you touch. If you look only backwards, you will unknowingly bury the treasure I wish to make blossom within your life. I see your heart, full of if only you had been closer, if only you had said a few more words, if only you had done more. But my child, there is no if only in my plan. Every soul is received by me at the right time and in the right way, according to a design that rises far above your understanding. Self-reproach only closes your heart, so there is no room for my light to enter. Do not torment yourself with questions that have no answer, for they do not help the one who has died. They only lead you further away from me. Believe that I, who wrote the story of you both, am still holding the pen and still writing the next chapter. I do not want you to stop at sorrow. I want you to become a witness of hope. When you dare to let go, I will turn your pain into a river of grace. When you dare to lift up your head, I will cause the ashes in your heart to blossom into the light of resurrection. You think you have stumbled on this message by chance, but no, nothing is accidental beneath my hand. When your heart has softened just enough to listen, I come, not loudly, not dazzlingly, but as a gentle stirring within. Every tear you shed, every sleepless night, I am there, quietly gathering them as seeds to sow into your soul. You may brush this aside and think these are just a few virtual words of comfort. But be careful. for that very indifference could make you miss the key to peace that I am offering you. My child, pause for a moment and listen attentively. This is not background music or words passing on the wind. It is my call in the midst of your pain, the beginning of a new journey in which your tears will become the oil that keeps the flame of faith burning. If you are moved, but remain unchanged, you will lose the vocation I have long prepared for you. Do not let my word be only an echo in the wind. Let it become the very breath in your heart, so that as you move forward, I may walk with you, not as a mere memory, but as a mission. My child, there are calls that do not resound in sound, but in the emptiness within you. When you feel that no one understands you anymore, that there is nothing left to hold on to. When your tears fall and you no longer even have the strength to pray, that is precisely when I am whispering very near. I know you have often asked, "Where are you, God, when I am suffering like this?" And my answer has always been there, in every fragile breath, in the silence after each sob. You do not recognize it because you only look for me in dazzling miracles and fail to see me in quiet tenderness. Yet in those moments that seem so meaningless, I have laid my hand upon your soul, not to condemn, but to console and awaken you. I remember the story of Samuel when he was a child. In the middle of the night, he heard a voice calling him 3 times and thought it was the priest, Eli. Only at the 4th time, when Eli realized that it was the voice of the Lord, did he teach Samuel to answer, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." You see, even one who is chosen can mistake my voice for the voice of another. If Samuel, in the quiet of the temple, struggled to discern, how could I blame you when you are standing in the storm of your own heart? But, my child, the difference is that Samuel did not close his heart. He listened once more, and that patient listening opened into a lifetime of vocation. And as for you, I know you too are hearing something, an intuition, a gentle reminder, a video that leaves you in tears for reasons you cannot explain. None of this is by chance. It is the way I knock, not with thunder, but with a tender touch. Do not pass it by, for if you only turn back to me, I will transform that call into the way out for your whole life. People are afraid of pain, and rightly so, because pain makes them vulnerable. Yet I tell you, it is precisely in that vulnerability that I accomplish what is strongest. Many want to hear my voice in success, in miracles, in blessings, but I often speak through what the world tries to avoid: loss, silence, loneliness. For when there is nothing else left to lean on, you begin to lean on me. When everything has been stripped away, you finally see who is truly standing beside you. And I have always been there, without leaving you for even half a step. Sometimes I do not remove your pain immediately, because I use it as a lantern to lead you out of the darkness of your own self, like a torch that burns bright only by being consumed. Your soul shines when you allow me to touch its deepest wound. That is not punishment, but a quiet rebirth, and I patiently wait for you to see it. I have seen many hearts hear my call and then turn away. They are moved for a moment, only to forget as soon as the morning comes. My child, this is the greatest danger, for to be moved without being transformed is a subtle way of refusing my grace. When you treat my message as background noise in the endless flow of social media, you are quietly closing the door of grace. Every time you say, "I will pray tomorrow," or "I will change later," you are losing the chance to meet me now. Do not think that I call only once. I keep calling, but that voice grows faint in the mind of one who is absorbed in their own sorrow. I do not force you, because love does not coerce. But remember, the very fact that you can still hear me is a sign that your heart is still alive. If you let that voice disappear completely, it is not that I am silent, but that you have sealed your heart too tightly. Let me tell you this, my beloved child, I do not come to steal away the one you love. I come to touch your soul through that empty space they have left. When you weep, I bow my head with you. When you suffer, I am present in that very suffering. The difference is that I can already see the flower that will bloom from the barren ground you are crossing. I see how the rest of your life can bring light to others if you are willing to open your heart. My call is never mere consolation. It is an invitation to enter a path of resurrection. And you will not walk it alone. Like Samuel, you need only say, "Here I am, Lord," just that, and I will do the rest. I will transform what you see as loss into a doorway that leads to peace. My child, do not be afraid when I call you in the midst of your pain. That call does not come to confuse you, but to lead you out of old ways. It is like when night falls and the wind slips through the crack of the door, sending a shiver through you. You can shut everything tight, or you can step outside and discover a sky full of stars. My voice is like that. It frightens you because it asks you to change, to step out of your own comfort zone. Yet only when you dare to step out will you see the dawn I have long prepared for you. Do not let your heart grow so used to the silence that it no longer recognizes my voice. Every throb of pain, every moment of stillness is my gentle call. You need only stop, breathe, and say, "I am listening, Lord." Then light will begin to pierce the night, and you will understand that I have never been far from you, not even for a single moment. I know you are afraid that if you open your heart again, you will be hurt again. But my child, I do not come to make you weaker. I come to raise you up precisely where you have fallen. Not everyone understands my call that speaks through suffering. Only those who have tasted loss have ears to hear and hearts to feel. You are among the chosen, not because you are strong, but because you have become weak enough for me to act. So do not underestimate these moments. When you hear my word and feel something stir gently in your heart, hold on to it. Do not let it slip away. This is the beginning of a new journey. Let me do what I desire to turn your pain into a living testimony, your tears into a source of grace for others. For every call I utter in the middle of the dark night carries within it the light of a coming dawn. There will come a time when you look back and understand what today has brought you to your knees was in fact the first step towards standing more firmly. What seemed shattered was where I was laying the foundations of a new mission. You are no longer only a suffering one. You are someone who has been awakened. And when you are ready to listen, I will speak to you of the spiritual inheritance left by the one who has died, something you are called to receive, not only to mourn. Some things appear to have ended when, in truth, they have only just begun. You do not realize that in the very moment you said farewell to the one you loved most, heaven quietly opened a new page of your destiny. Everything you now call loss, in my eyes, is a sacred handing over. You weep because you think I have taken away, but you do not yet see that. In that very moment, I was giving back. Your hands feel empty. Yet it is exactly into that emptiness that I am placing something eternal, a gift your loved one carefully prepared with their very life. Do you remember the story of Elijah and Elisha? When Elijah was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elisha knelt down, tore his garments, and wept bitterly. It seemed as though everything had vanished. But then he saw the cloak falling to the ground. It was not just an inanimate piece of cloth, but a sign of power and of a mission being handed on. Elisha bent down, picked it up, and from that moment the power of God began to flow through him. In the same way, the one you love has left you a cloak of their own. It may be their persevering faith, their gentleness, or simply a heart that knows how to love. They are no longer here, but their legacy is still alive, still moving within you like a small ember hidden under the ashes, waiting to be fanned into flame. I want you to look back and recognize that death does not steal. It only hands things over in another way. My child, those who have departed in faith do not leave behind a meaningless emptiness. They have prayed for you far more than you imagine. They have spoken your name before me, asking me to guard you, to guide you, to pour upon you the wisdom they did not yet have time to express. Those prayers are not lost. They are like seeds buried deep in the earth, waiting only for a single drop of rain to rise up into a tree. And that drop of rain is the moment you open your heart, when you begin to look at life no longer through the lens of suffering, but in the light of your calling. Those seeds will sprout. You will find that you are different, calmer, deeper, more capable of loving, not because you have changed by your own strength, but because you are living the spiritual inheritance that person entrusted to you. I know there are moments when you feel it is unjust. You ask yourself why I took away the one who loved you most, why I did not let them stay a little longer. But, my child, if you could see with my eyes, you would realize that each soul has a moment when its mission is complete. When that person has fulfilled their mission, I call them home, not to be far from you, but so that they may be united with me, and from there continue to watch over you in a deeper way. You think you have lost them, but in truth they have been enlarged so that they can be present everywhere in the passing breeze, in the morning sunlight, in that peace which you do not understand where it comes from. I do not strip you of your consolations. I only transform them into something more spiritual, no longer a hand that touches you, but a soul that upholds you. No longer words whispered in your ear, but my own breath within you every time you remember them, with love more than with sadness. Do not let memory become a prison. My beloved, let it become an altar. There, you do not only sit and weep, but kneel and offer everything up as a sacrifice. For every memory that is steeped in faith becomes a new source of strength. When you remember them, do not ask, why did they have to go? Instead ask, what am I to do with what they have left me? That person may have taught you patience, may have forgiven even when deeply wounded, may have continued to believe when there seemed to be nothing left to believe in. None of that has been lost. It is alive within you, waiting for you to stir it up and let it bear fruit. I do not ask you to deny your longing, but I desire that you transform that longing into action, to live on their behalf, to love on their behalf, to believe on their behalf. For that is the real way to keep them with you, not in tears, but in the light. Many people think that when someone dies, all that was beautiful comes to an end. But I tell you truly, it is precisely in those losses that I begin to raise up eternal works. Your loved ones, your friends, those whom you cherish, they do not leave in order to abandon you in emptiness. They leave so as to place in your hands the key to a new journey. Have you noticed that since that event you understand hearts more? You are more ready to sympathize. You suddenly find yourself closer to those who are suffering. That is not the consequence of grief, but the fruit of a grace that has been handed on. Pain has not hardened you. It has softened you so that you can love more. And this is the sign that the spiritual inheritance has begun to flow within you. I want you to remember this. My child, when someone departs, love does not disappear. It merely takes on a different form. Like one candle passing its flame to another, the first candle may burn down, but the light continues to spread. The one who has died does not remain trapped in the past. Together with me, they are walking with you in the present. You cannot see them, but they are standing behind you, gently pushing you forward every time you fall. They want you to live, but not merely to survive. They want you to live fully. to live deeply, to live as someone who has learned the true value of each breath. That is how you honor the love they gave you, and that is how you allow them to continue to be present through your life. My child, do not be afraid to accept that spiritual inheritance, for when I entrust it to you, I also give you sufficient strength to carry it. Do not keep it to yourself. Do not let your longing harden into chains. Let it become the source of energy that urges you forward. You may not realize it, but since the day that person left, something has changed within you, a heart more sensitive, a gentler gaze, a deeper capacity for listening. All these are signs that grace is at work. I do not need you to be artificially strong. I only want you to be truthful, to acknowledge that you are hurting, yet still keep walking, to acknowledge that you have lost, yet still keep believing. For it is precisely within that faith that the spiritual inheritance begins to blossom. And when the flowers bloom, you will understand that this person has never really left. They have simply moved inside you, so that together with you they may complete the mission I began in you both. When you are peaceful enough to look back, you will see that every loss carries within it a promise, the promise that nothing in me is meaningless. I do not let the one you love disappear. I only bring them into eternity so they can intercede for you forever. And one day, when you have finished your part, you will fully understand that no separation is ever final. There are only reunions postponed until all my children have come home. But before that day comes, I want you to live, and to live as someone who carries the treasure of God, one who knows how to love, how to serve, how to bring light. Wherever you live in that way, there the one who has died also continues to live. Then you will realize that your pain no longer crushes you, but becomes holy ground from which a new calling springs up. And when that happens, I will gently lead you one step deeper, to a place where you no longer drown in guilt, but are healed and reborn in my mercy, my child. I see in your heart a hidden wound with the name, if only. If only I had come home earlier, if only I had said one more word, if only I had not been angry with them, if only I had held their hand one last time. Those if-onlys are like invisible thorns, driving deeper into your heart with each passing day. You think that is love, but in reality, it is a form of self-condemnation. You do not realize that these very if-onlys are pulling you away from my peace, keeping you from hearing my gentle voice. My child, I have never demanded that you be perfect in love. I only desire that you be sincere. Everything you have done, however clumsy, however incomplete, I have seen, and I do not use your shortcomings to condemn you, but I use your heart to heal you. Long ago, when Jesus appeared after the resurrection, the disciples trembled, ashamed because they had abandoned him in his passion. But he did not come to reproach them. He said only, "Peace be with you." Then he turned to Peter, the one who had denied him 3 times, and asked only one question, "Do you love me?" There was no rebuke, no sentence of condemnation. It was simply an invitation to return to the first love. You see, Peter also had his own if-onlys, but when he dared to face a love greater than his sin, he was set free. And so it is with you. If you dare to let go of those haunting if-onlys, you will experience a love stronger than everything you have lost. That love does not erase the past. It transforms it into a wound anointed with oil, so that from it you may grow in compassion for the suffering of others as never before. I know there are nights when you lie still in the dark, your heart heavy as stone. You hear a voice in your mind saying, "You could have saved them. You should not have said that. You could have done things differently." And you think that is the voice of conscience. But, my child, it is not. It is the voice of the liar, the one who constantly seeks to draw you away from me by dressing despair in the garment of remorse. I do not want you to forget the one who has died, but neither do I want you to die inwardly with them. Pain is not a place to live. It is only a place you pass through. Guilt keeps you standing still on the road, while I am waiting for you to move forward. You think you deserve punishment, but I say to you, no. You deserve to be embraced, for you are not suffering because of evil, but because of love, and true love is never a sin. You must understand that the departure of a soul is not in your hands. I am the one who holds time, and each human life is a chapter in a mysterious book that only I can read in full. You cannot keep someone on earth by your worries or your regrets. There are things beyond human strength, and I do not make a single mistake in the story I am writing with your life. Therefore, when you say, "It's my fault," I want you to remember that I am still holding the pen, and that this is not the last page. I am still writing, with your very tears and your faith. If you cling forever to that old sheet of paper, afraid to go on, afraid of making more mistakes, the story will never be complete. Let me write with you. I will turn the part you think is failure into the most beautiful chapter, the chapter that speaks of mercy. My child, guilt is a golden chain. It seems noble because it is linked to love, but in reality it locks you in a dark room of imaginary sin. You must learn to distinguish between healthy sorrow and self-condemning guilt. Sorrow is when you weep, yet still believe that I am healing you. Guilt is when you no longer believe that I am merciful enough to forgive you. When you hold on to, if only in your heart, you are saying to me, "Lord, that death fell outside of your plan." But no, not a single soul leaves this world without my knowledge. Not a single second passes outside of my hand. So when you say, "If only," you unwittingly forget that I remain the God of perfect timing. I want you to understand that the fact you did not say everything, did not do everything, does not mean that you have failed. For at times I leave things unfinished in order to awaken in you a deeper desire to love. If everything were perfect, you would never learn what mercy truly is. But precisely in your clumsiness, in your mistakes, in your weakness, you discover how greatly you need me. I do not come to erase your past. I come to sanctify it. Every fault, every regret, every tear, when placed in my hands, becomes a precious jewel. Do not push them away. Simply allow me to turn them into light. There was a time when I asked a soul who was weeping in prayer, "Why do you keep imprisoning yourself in regret?" And that soul answered, "Because I am afraid that if I am happy again, that person will be forgotten." My child, that is your fear too, is it not? But I tell you, truly joy does not betray memory. When you smile, that person is not forgotten. They are honored in the very light in which you are living. For love does not die, it only changes form, from tears into thanksgiving, from pain into prayer. Do not be afraid to step out of sorrow. My beloved, to leave sadness behind is not to forget, but to trust that I am continuing the story they did not have time to finish. When you allow me to heal you, you are cooperating with God Himself in the work of resurrection. I desire that your heart be made lighter, not so that you forget the one who has died, but so that you may have strength to love those who are still alive. If you keep clinging to that imagined guilt, you will close off the path of restoration I have already opened for you. But if today you simply say, "Lord, I hand this remorse over to you," then in that very moment the door of healing grace will open. You do not have to struggle much. You only need to believe that I do not wish to condemn you. I only wish to hold you close. When you allow love to be greater than fear, you will see that all the if-onlys melt away like morning mist before the sun. For true love does not demand if only. It only knows how to go forward. You cannot go back and do things differently, but you can begin again today. with a heart washed clean, with hands ready to reach out to other souls who are suffering as you once did. And in that very moment you will hear my voice again, no longer calling you from the midst of pain, but from the midst of life. I am inviting you to step out of guilt and to put on the mantle of vocation I have prepared for you, the mantle of one who has been healed, so as to bring healing to others. My beloved, when you bravely let go of if only, you do not lose anything at all. On the contrary, you regain everything in a new form, fuller and more radiant. For only when you stop condemning yourself can you recognize your true calling to live in such a way that you carry on the goodness that person left behind. I will lead you along that path, gently and tenderly. From now on, pain will no longer be your chain, but your wings, and when you spread those wings, you will hear me whispering in your heart, "Go, my child." This pain was never meant to keep you down, but to make you rise. My child, the time has come for you to stand up, not in order to forget, but to receive what I am giving you. Every tear you have shed I have gathered, to weave into a garment, a mantle of vocation that only you can wear. It is not woven of silk or splendor, but of threads of faith, compassion, and pain that has been made holy. You think that having a little peace is enough, but I did not create you merely to exist. I created you to continue the song. The one you love has completed their part in that piece of music. And you, yes, you, are the one who must now play the next notes. Remaining forever in nostalgia is not fidelity. It is a way of running away from the calling I have given you. Do you know the story of Job? When he lost everything, his children, his possessions, his health, he still said, "The Lord gave. The Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." People think that was resignation, but I know it was the voice of a soul that had touched the mystery. Job did not deny his suffering, but he allowed me to go on writing the story of his life with what he believed he had lost. In the same way, you were not born merely to mourn what has passed, but to stand up in the light of a new calling. When you suffer, I do not only console you, I awaken something deep within you, compassion, courage, a stronger faith than before. All these changes are not accidental. They are signs that you are being chosen to bear a new mantle. But you know, my child, many people, when they are called, hide. They are afraid they are not good enough. Afraid that to put on the Lord's mantle means having to surrender their peace. I do not blame them, for Elisha himself once trembled when he picked up Elijah's mantle. But my child, the Lord's mantle is not heavy. It is only heavy when you carry your fear inside it. I do not need you to be perfect. I only need you to be willing. For when you put on that mantle, it is no longer you working alone. It is I who am at work in you. Every small action, every word of comfort, every time you listen to someone in pain, that is when this mantle begins to shine. You still think you are unworthy, too weak, too tired, too small. But my child, if I chose only the strong, who would understand those who have fallen? If I used only perfect souls, who would understand those who are breaking apart precisely because you have suffered, have lost, have been afraid? You are the one most suited to become an instrument of mercy. I am not placing a burden on your shoulders. I am giving you a privilege to become a channel of healing grace. You do not need to preach with grand words. You only need to live with a heart that has been touched. When you go out and stand before souls who are lost, they will notice something different in your eyes, a gentle light, yet one that has the power to save. And that is the light of the mantle of vocation you are wearing. I know there will be times when you are tired, when you doubt, when you want to lay this mantle down. You will say, "Lord, I am not strong enough. But remember, this mantle was not woven to be an ornament. It was woven to protect and to warm you. When you tremble, it will cover you. When you lose your way, it will remind you to whom you belong. I have woven it out of your own love and tears, so it fits your heart exactly. No one else can wear it in your place. And whenever you feel lonely, place your hand over your heart and close your eyes. You will hear a heartbeat that is not only your own, but also mine, the one who lives within you. That very rhythm is the sacred symphony of souls that know pain and yet still choose to love. My child, do not be afraid when this mantle makes you different. Do not fear if others do not understand. For those who wear the Lord's mantle do not live to please the world, but to bear witness to the light. You do not need to become great. You only need to become true before me, before yourself, before others. A single honest word from you can save a soul in despair. One embrace from you can make someone believe that God is still there. You do not need to do great things. You only need to do small things with great love. And that is precisely your mission, to continue the story that the one you love has left behind. By living your own vocation to the full, do not let this mantle lie still on your shoulders like a sad piece of jewelry. Let it touch lives. I want to see you walk, speak, live, forgive and smile, not because you have forgotten, but because you have understood. Pain is no longer just a memory. It becomes the energy that makes you love more deeply, endure more patiently, and be more compassionate. When you live this way, you are continuing the work of the one who has gone before you. And I tell you this, if you run away, that mantle will become a selfish hiding place. But if you give yourself, it will turn into the wings of a free bird, flying everywhere to carry blessing to weary hearts. Which will you choose? My child, you do not need to answer me with words. I will hear your answer in the way you live, in every step you take. If you choose to give yourself, I will open the way. If you choose to walk forward, I will support you. For once you have put on the Lord's mantle, you never walk alone again. And you will see that wherever you are present, sorrow is soothed, darkness recedes, and life begins to blossom again. That is the miracle of those who wear the mantle of a vocation. They do not need signs and wonders outside themselves, because their very life has become a miracle. There will come a day when, looking back, you will see this journey in a different light. You will understand that pain did not kill you. It helped you grow. You will see that the mantle I gave you, though it first made you tremble, has now become part of your very being, soft, warm, and radiant. You will realize that I never take anyone from you without granting you something more sacred in return. And when you are standing firm in that light, you will hear me call you again, but this time, not only for yourself, but for those who are wandering in the same pain you once knew. Go, my child. Carry the light you have received into the dark places. Let the calling within you become a flame that warms the souls who are frozen in the cold. My child, now, when I look at you, your heart mended, your steps less unsteady, I know the time has come. Your pain is no longer a weight that makes you collapse. It has become a quiet light within you. But that light is not meant to be kept for yourself alone. For everything I have healed in you carries within it a mission that you might become a sign of hope for others. Pain, if it is only kept hidden in your heart, will turn into ashes, but when you bring it out and share it, it becomes a fire that warms. Remember, you were not saved to sit still. You were saved so that you might stretch out your hand to save others. Long ago, I met a woman at a well. She came at noon, quietly, carrying a past filled with shame and loneliness. But after I spoke to her about the love of God, she did not keep that gift for herself. She hurriedly left her water jar behind, ran back to the village and said to everyone, "Come and see a man who has told me everything about myself." Do you see? After just one encounter and one healed heart, an entire village was awakened. That is the power of someone who has suffered and yet dares to share. It is the same with you. Your pain is not a shameful wound, but a living testimony that the grace of resurrection is real. When you tell the story of your journey, you are not exposing your wounds. You are opening a pathway for those who are still trapped in the dark. I do not need you to speak grand things. I only want you to speak from the truth of your heart. A timely word of comfort, a look filled with understanding, an embrace without judgment. Sometimes these small things are exactly the language of God. You will be amazed to see how what seems insignificant in your eyes can save a soul from despair. For pain that has been sanctified is no longer just a memory. It becomes a stream of grace. You only need to be faithful and let it flow through you. Do not be afraid of being wounded again. I, myself, will be your wall of protection. The gentle wind that carries this warmth farther than you can imagine. You may ask, "Lord, I am just an ordinary person. How can I become hope for someone else but my child?" I do not need the great. I need those who have been touched. Only those who have walked through darkness truly know the value of light. When you meet someone suffering as you once suffered, you will not speak empty words. You will be silent and listen. And it is that very silence, filled with compassion, that will heal them. In that moment, you become a wordless light, a kind of light found only in hearts that have been broken and yet still choose to love. You cannot know how many people are watching you. Some never say a word, but they observe, they listen. They seek in you some proof that God is still real. When they see you live, still believe, still remain gentle despite having been hurt, they will begin to trust that they too can be healed. Like a river, you cannot keep the water for yourself. Water remains clear and refreshing only when it flows. So do not keep your pain as a keepsake. Let it become a flowing stream that waters the dry ground. I healed you not so that you would close your door, but so that you would open it and let other souls step into the light. I now see within you a strange kind of strength, not the strength of one who has never fallen, but of one who has fallen and still risen again. This world does not need more flawless people. It needs witnesses of mercy. As you go as someone who understands that everything you have, your faith, your peace, even your wounds, is grace. And grace must be shared. You do not realize that sometimes just one story from your lips about how I drew you up from the depths can save someone from the thought of ending their life. That is the power of living testimony. It needs no stage, no crowd. It only needs one true heart speaking to another true heart. My child, look around you. This world is full of people who are hurting and do not know they are loved. They carry wounds much like yours once were, but they have not yet met me. And you are the bridge, not to preach, but to live out the tenderness I have poured into you. A prayer you whisper for them. A small act that no one notices. That is when you are spreading the grace of healing. Do not think that your vocation is confined to church walls or rituals. True vocation is lived in the smallest moments, when you forgive, when you choose love instead of hatred, when you smile even while an ache still lingers in your heart. It is these very things that glorify me. And remember, this pain is truly redeemed only when it becomes a source of life for others. I did not allow you to go through all your losses just to have you live quietly among your memories. I want you to turn all of it into seed. When you tell your story, when you help someone else believe they can rise again, then your pain has reached its fullness. For salvation never stops with one person. It always spreads, like a flame. You cannot keep it for yourself. The more you share it, the brighter its light becomes. Let me fan that flame within you, so that from now on you may be a bearer of hope, not by your own strength, but by the wounds I have touched. My beloved, this journey does not end with you being comforted, it ends with you being sent. When you go forth, I will go with you. When you speak, I will speak through you. And when you are silent, it is I who will be present in that silence. Do not fear doing too little. Do not fear being misunderstood. I do not need you to be perfect. I only need you to be faithful. If you just keep walking, you will discover that every time you offer hope, you receive a little piece of heaven in return. And in this way, you are no longer merely someone who survived loss, but one who is sent to sow new life. One day, when you look back on the road you have traveled, you will smile and whisper, "So every tear did have its reason." You will see clearly that every pain, every long night, every silent plea was used by me to write a new story, the story of resurrection grace woven into ordinary life. And when you tell that story to the world, I will be right there in every word, every glance, every heartbeat, so that people, looking at you, may know that God is still alive, still healing, still loving. Go now, my child, for your pain has become a lamp for others. Do not be afraid, for with every step you take, I will cause the earth beneath you to bloom. When you allow your pain to be sanctified, it is no longer a wound, but a testimony of grace. When you let the Lord use your life to touch others, you no longer live for yourself, but in the unending flow of God's love. And that, my child, is the true purpose of your life, to turn every loss into hope, to let every tear become a seed of vocation, and so that through you this world may once again believe that I am still here. My beloved, I see deep within you a very real longing. You do not want to drift through your days. You want each day to have meaning. You want your soul to be renewed. You want to become someone different from who you were yesterday. That desire did not appear on its own. It is a sign that I am still quietly touching you. I see those moments when you ask yourself, do I still have a chance to change? Can my life ever become brighter? And those very questions are already the first steps of a new journey. But my child, if this longing remains only in your thoughts and never becomes action, it will slowly turn into regret. Yet if you dare to move, even by a single small step, I will use it as the first seed of a great harvest in your life. Do not let the looks of others, their words, or the invisible judgments of this world chain your steps any longer. I know you have been hurt before when you tried to change and were not understood. There were times you chose silence, chose to stand aside to feel safe. But my child, when you let human opinion grow louder than my call, you will live forever in a glass cage, able to see freedom, yet never touching it. Inside you, a real battle is taking place between the weariness that wants to give up and the urge to begin again, between the voice that says, just give up on life, and the gentle whisper that says, you can be different. I am not standing outside that battle. I am at its very center. Beside you, I do not promise to erase every difficulty in a day, but I do promise that if you dare to rise and step into this inner battlefield with me, the final victory will not belong to the darkness. Do not think your only battle is with other people. The real battle is with cowardice, procrastination, and the old way of living that clings tightly to your soul. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, I probably can't do it, you are taking off your armor and surrendering yourself to the attack of discouragement. I am not asking you to become strong all at once. I only ask that you do not surrender before you begin. You may be weak. You may tremble. You may walk forward while still afraid. That does not disappoint me. I am only saddened when you choose to lie still and convince yourself that your life can never be better. that your fate can only be this much. For in doing so, you lock your heart against the gifts I still wish to give you, and you not only lose your future, you also bury the graces that have been watered by the tears and prayers of many who love you. I hear very clearly the words you whisper to me, Lord. Great things are only for the young, the talented, those who have everything they need, not for someone like me. And every time you do this, you use your age, your circumstances, your old wounds and past failures as a shield to protect your fear. You tell me that it is too late to begin again, that the fire of your dreams has gone out, that your heart has no more room for any new plan of mine. Do you know how much those words pain me, not because you offend me, but because you are looking at yourself with eyes more cruel than any enemy of yours? You forget that I am the one who called Abraham when he was already old, who used Moses when he thought himself incapable, who relied on Anna in the temple when she had spent almost her whole life in hiddenness. In my eyes, no age is too late. No season of life is wasted. No heart is useless, as long as it still knows how to long and is willing to let me touch it once more. You tell me that you no longer have any dreams, yet the very fact that you say so already reveals that those dreams are still faintly breathing somewhere inside you, only covered in dust by fear and by the times you have stumbled. You are afraid to hope again and be hurt again. So you choose the safety of numbness. You hide behind the words, "Surely God reserves that grace for someone else, not for me," so that you will not have to step out, will not have to change, will not have to let go of what has become so familiar even though it is wearing you down day by day. But my child, to refuse a calling by belittling yourself is not humility. It is a subtle way of resisting my will. When you keep insisting, "I am not worthy, I cannot, I am not suited," you are indirectly saying that I have chosen the wrong person, that I do not know what I am doing, and that, far more than your weakness, is what truly pierces my heart. I do not need you to be a hero. I need you to be someone who dares to let me act. I will do things that go beyond your imagination, not necessarily matters that make the whole world take notice, but quiet miracles that change the destiny of souls. The miracle will first take place in your own heart. Places that once hardened because of disappointment will soften. Areas that were once dark with bitterness will begin to shine with light. The deepest corners you never dared to open because you were afraid to face them will gradually be touched and healed by me. Then from there, I will allow others to see that transformation in you. They will ask themselves, "How can someone who fell so hard now stand so firm? How can one who once wanted to give up now speak about hope?" And the only answer will be, because I was there, renewing all things within you. You do not realize it, but when I make your life new, I am also mending the hope of those around you. There will be people who quietly watch you, family members, friends, those who once saw you fall into the depths, and when they see you slowly rise again, they will believe that they too can be lifted up. Many of them do not dare to come to me directly, for fear of being judged, for fear of being unworthy, for fear that I am too distant. So I will allow them to come to you first. They will share with you secrets they have never dared to tell anyone. They will open up fears they have been hiding for so long, not because you are better, but because in you they can feel a very real peace, the peace of one who has been shattered but not abandoned. Then you will understand why I have been so patient with you, why I did not let you disappear into your pain, why I did not leave you to be devoured by despair. Every tear you have shed, every night when you felt you could hardly breathe, I was there, quietly accumulating all of it into a spiritual treasure that you can now spend on others. You will no longer speak to them with empty cliches, because you know very well what it feels like to be strangled by emptiness. You will not tell them to try harder in a cheap way. because you remember there were times when you yourself no longer wanted to try. You will simply be present. Listen. Hold them at the right moment. Speak a few very simple words that rise from the deepest place in your heart, and there, I will work more powerfully than through any platform or sermon. I know you are afraid that you will not know what to say, will not know what to do when people pour out their hearts to you. You fear you will wound them further, that you are not wise enough, not holy enough, not experienced enough. But my child, in those moments you do not need to perform. You do not need to have ready-made, perfect answers. What I desire is that your heart be open for me to use. When you place their stories in my hands, I myself will place words on your lips. Sometimes I will not need you to say much at all. I will simply need you to weep with them, to pray for them, to sit in silence with them before me. That very presence, woven from the pain you have already passed through and the faith that is growing within you, will become a channel of grace for them. But you must remember, if you only receive and never give, if you are only comforted and never share that comfort, the flow of grace within you will gradually slow down. I did not give you a healed heart so that it could become idle. I healed it so that it might become a refuge for many other hearts. If you keep everything I do only for yourself, if you care only about preserving your own peace and refuse to touch anyone else's wounds, that peace will soon turn hollow. You will find yourself living for a long time in a bland kind of safety, where you no longer hurt intensely, but also no longer burn, no longer feel zeal, no longer are moved by the suffering of others. That is not my peace. It is a sweet paralysis that darkness loves to use to lull to sleep those who have once been touched but refuse to go any further. I invite you to step out of that safe zone, not to throw you into a storm, but so that what I have done in you will not wither. I want you to become living proof that pain is not a full stop, that loss does not mean permanent ruin, that no matter how dark the past has been, it cannot prevent me from writing new and spotless pages. You will be the answer for those who ask, is it still worth believing? Is it still worth getting up again? Every step you take, every good choice you make, every time you say yes to love, even while you are still afraid, will become a message more powerful than any sermon, that God does not abandon anyone who dares to let him touch them. And when you feel weary on that journey, do not forget to return to me. You are not required to be strong all the time, to be always fine, to be a support for others without ever being allowed to be weak. You still have the right to weep before me, the right to say you are exhausted, the right to ask me to hold you as I did at the beginning, not because you have gone back to square one, but because true love must always return to its source. I do not want you to become so much someone who works for me that you forget you are my child. So, whenever you notice yourself beginning to push yourself to the point of exhaustion, remember that the safest place is still my arms. From there, I will lift you up again, breathe new life into the mission you carry, and let you continue to be my little light in the world. My beloved child, all that I ask of you is not perfection, but faithfulness. Faithfulness to the desire to live better each day. Faithfulness to that first yes, even when later it trembles. Faithfulness in returning to me every time you fall. Faithfulness to the mission of being a sign of hope for those around you. If you continue like this, day after day, quietly, yet steadfastly, you will be amazed to discover that you have become a different person without even realizing when it happened. And then, looking back, you will know that not a single one of your tears was wasted. Not a single wound was meaningless. Not a single day of your life was superfluous, for I have used them all to transform you from someone who only knew how to grit your teeth and endure into someone who knows how to give, from one swallowed by darkness into one who brings light, from a soul that seemed to have buried its calling into a living witness of my mercy in this world. My child, from where I stand, I can see that in your heart there are still seeds of dreams that have never died. It is only that the winds of life have blown so hard that you thought they had withered. I want you not to hastily fold away the deep desires I once planted within you. Do not let a few stumbles, a few words of criticism, or a few closed doors make you conclude that you no longer have the right to hope. Those longings to live a meaningful life, to do something good, to see your family in peace, to see the ones you love return to the light, all of these are not naive fantasies but echoes of the calling within you. I am not asking you to chase every passing desire, but I invite you to remain faithful to what stays, even as the years change. To those things that, whenever you think of them, make your heart grow warm, even though your outer circumstances are not much improved. Keep patiently tending those good things. Keep working. Keep quietly persevering. Keep daring to dream instead of settling for paralysis. Because it is precisely in that persevering process that I am shaping you, molding you, purifying your motives, so that your dreams no longer revolve around your ego, but are joined to my will. Do not be afraid of the obstacles that will appear on your path. For the more you walk toward the light, the more disturbed the darkness will become. There will be people who do not understand, invisible forces that try to pull you back to where you were, mocking voices, cold attitudes, even slander that wounds you. But my child, no one can defeat you if you do not let go of your hand from mine. No power, however subtle, can pierce your soul when you take refuge in my presence. This does not mean you will never again face suffering. It means that nothing can steal from you your deepest identity. You are my child. When you walk amid uncertainties with that awareness, even if storms arise, you will not be swept away. I do not promise to clear every thorn from the road ahead, but I assure you that no force will be able to touch your soul as long as you trust in me. Cling to my word, and let me be the only support on which you rest the full weight of your life. I am not calling you into a lonely campaign. I am calling you into communion, where you and I walk together, fight together, and move through each stage side by side. When you allow me to be present in every decision, every plan, every intention, you will discover that your life is lifted into another dimension, not the glitter of the exterior, but the spiritual depth within, wholeness, peace, wisdom, courage, the capacity to endure adversity. These are the fruits of a life closely united to me. This is a level of blessing that the world cannot define, because it is not measured by money or fame, but by the freedom of a heart that knows it is loved unconditionally. The more closely you walk with me, the more you will experience what you never expected, doors suddenly opening, relationships being healed, knots of deadlock gradually being loosened, things that once seemed impossible slowly becoming possible in mysterious ways. Do not think that my words are mere consolation, for I am the one who does what I say. The blessings I prepare for you are not mirages to lure you forward and then abandon you in the desert. They are realities I have been nurturing for a long time, simply waiting for the right moment to be poured out. There are things you have prayed for over a long period without seeing any answer. Words you thought I did not hear. Desires you have filed away in the drawer labeled impossible. Yet you do not know that behind the scenes I have still been at work. I am rearranging the pieces, changing your heart, preparing circumstances, forming virtue within you, so that when the blessing comes, you will be mature enough to receive it without losing yourself. There will be a moment that seems sudden, yet is, in fact, exquisitely precise, when grace will begin to fall not only on you, but also on those who are joined to you. Imagine a gentle rain falling after long days of drought, drop by drop soaking into the cracked earth, tender shoots pushing up, clumps of plants coming back to life. That is what I desire to do over your family, over your home, over the generations that will come after you. Hidden prayers, quiet sacrifices, the times you choose what is good when no one sees it, all of these are being gathered to open a new flow of grace in your lineage. You may not yet see the full result today, but I have already begun a new season of rain of reconciliation, rain of forgiveness among those in your household, rain of return for those who have wandered far, rain of protection against visible and invisible dangers. These blessings will not stop with your lifetime. They will quietly flow on to your descendants and to those whom you touch. I want to make your home a refuge of peace, a patch of ground where anyone who steps in can sense that there is something different, a climate of love, of respect, of sacredness that needs no signs or slogans. You must remember that every plan I have for you always surpasses your imagination. You can sketch out scenarios according to your own understanding. You can dream of a life with few storms, of certain successes, but my plan is always deeper, wider, and far more enduring. I do not think only of your today or your tomorrow. I see your whole journey, from the moment you were formed until the moment you return to me. No human affection, however sincere, can compare with the love I have for you. Because I love you with a complete gaze, I see even the ugly parts and still hold you close. I know every time you betray me and still trust you. I read all the thoughts you cannot admit even to yourself and still wait patiently for your return. That is why no project of this world, no invitation, however enticing, can ever surpass what I have prepared for you when you choose to stand on my side. I can give you what no one else can, a sense of purpose so solid that storms cannot shake it. When you know why you live, for whom you live, and toward what you are living, you will no longer be swept away by others' assessments, comparisons, and shallow measures of success. I can also fill your heart with a peace that many long for all their lives, yet can never buy a peace that does not depend on abundance or scarcity, gain or loss, victory or defeat, but is grounded in the conviction that though everything else changes, I do not. And my child, even the situations that seem utterly blocked, the mistakes you believe have ruined your whole life, the calamities you cannot understand, I can still use them as raw material to build something good. When you hand everything over to me, the beautiful and the ugly, your pride and your shame, I will weave it into a new story, where the very cracks become the places where light breaks through. There are stretches of your journey when you feel as though you are wandering in a barren land. You pray and feel nothing. You do what is right and still meet with injustice. You love and are not loved in return. You try and see no results. You call this the desert. I do not deny its harshness, but I also want you to know that often it is precisely there that I am closest to you. When everything around you offers nothing to cling to, you finally have the chance to cling to me alone. When superficial sources of joy run dry, you begin to thirst for a deeper spring. I will not leave you forever in that dryness. I lead you through it to teach you to discern what is fleeting and what is eternal. And at the right time I will bring you to clear waters where you find freshness in my word, feel warmth in prayer, and sense your heart growing calm as you realize you no longer have to strain just to survive. All of this you cannot buy, cannot produce by your own strength. You can only receive it. And the way you receive it is no less important than the blessing itself that I give. If you open your hands with a demanding attitude, thinking that you deserve to have it, grace will not reach the deepest places within you. But if you open your heart with simple faith, with the joy of a child unexpectedly receiving a gift, with the humility of one who understands that everything is grace, then that blessing will not merely come and go, but will take root in your life. Faith helps you see what I am doing even when your physical eyes have not yet caught up. Joy keeps your heart wide open, not crushed by anxiety, and humility helps you remember that you are only a steward, not the owner, of these gifts. Therefore today, in this very moment, I gently yet firmly invite you to turn the page and step into something new, to remain faithful to the dreams I have kindled, to keep walking even when the road ahead is still hazy, to keep fighting with prayer, with daily choices for what is good, with an attitude of trust even when you feel nothing. Believe that I am walking with you more than you think, protecting you more deeply than you sense, preparing for you things that surpass all you ask or imagine. And when you learn to live in a posture of readiness to receive with faith, with joy, with humility, you will discover that my blessing is not just a brief flash, but a gentle river that never runs dry, quietly flowing through each day of your life, nourishing, cleansing, and refreshing every hidden corner of your soul, and from there, spreading out to touch those whom your life is sent to love and to serve. My beloved child, after all that I have said to you about the journey of rising again, about letting your pain be transformed into hope, now I need to whisper something very important to you. Be truly tender-hearted toward what I am quietly placing into your life. Do not turn your face away. Do not dismiss the small signs that are flickering every day. There are blessings that will not appear as earth-shaking miracles, not thundering like a storm, not dazzling like falling fireworks, but that come very gently, like a kind thought, a small opportunity, a meeting that seems accidental, a very soft invitation, a door that seems hardly worth noticing. People often wait only for grand things, things they deem worthy, and so they step past grace without even realizing it. I do not want you to walk that same way. I want your heart to be delicate enough to recognize that the simplest things are sometimes precisely where I am hiding a treasure prepared just for you. Do not be quick to judge what I give you merely by its appearance. At times, the gift I send will take the shape of a hidden task, an obscure job, a responsibility that no one else cares to accept, a duty that seems heavy and hardly appreciated. Others may despise it, pass it by, or say that it is not a blessing at all but only a burden. Yet, my child, what I entrust to you is never something cheap or worthless. It is only that eyes fixed on the glitter of this world find it hard to recognize the glory concealed in ordinary things. It is precisely the small things, when you receive them with gratitude, that become the place where I pour out new life, for in humble places, grace has room to take deep root. I do not go in search of those who consider themselves great. I do not choose hearts filled with the noise of ambition and pride. I bend down toward those whom no one seems to notice, those who know they are weak, who know their limits, who know they are nothing in the eyes of the world. In that awareness, I find space for my love to dwell. I delight in seeing quiet souls who do not need to stand out, who only ask for the grace to remain faithful, souls who do not chase after applause, but long to please me, even in the deeds that no one ever sees. You may see yourself as ordinary, not outstanding, at times even inferior to others, but I see in you lines and contours that even you have never recognized. I have placed within you a beauty that is uniquely yours, a mission that belongs to you alone, and I desire to awaken it. You have compared yourself to others so many times and asked why they seem to be given more abilities, more opportunities, more advantages. You have quietly put yourself into the category of the small, the faded, the insignificant. But my child, in my hands, the smallest things can bring about what seems impossible. I know well your fragility. I see the cracks, the weaknesses, the hidden corners you are afraid to face. Yet it is precisely there that I want to use my power to transform, to build. to plant within you a strength that does not belong to this world. I take those who appear weak and make them witnesses to another kind of strength, the strength of those who place their whole trust in me, and not in their achievements or reputation. Do not wait until you feel better, more capable, more complete, before you dare to accept the steps I am inviting you to take. If you wait until you are perfect, you will never begin. For on this earth no one reaches absolute perfection. I do not call those who are already prepared in everything. I call those who are willing to let me lead them. Little by little, I do not hand you a task far beyond your measure all at once. I teach you to grow gradually through each small thing, each simple act of faithfulness. Every time you choose the good in the little choices of your everyday life, you are taking another step along the path I sketched out for you long ago. There will be times when my blessing comes in a form you did not expect. It may appear as a relationship that requires your patience, a difficult person whom I place beside you to train your heart, a trial that demands you to grow, a door that seems closed so that you may learn to rely more deeply. If you insist only on receiving glorious things, you will be resentful when grace arrives in a simple, ordinary wrapping. But if you know how to look beyond the pain, beyond the outer shell, you will see that I am quietly shaping you, molding you in my way, slowly, surely, and with infinite wisdom. Have you ever noticed that the most precious things in life often begin very small? A tiny seed seems to count for nothing. Yet when it is placed in the right soil and tended, it becomes a great tree full of shade. A gentle word, seemingly harmless and insignificant, can rescue a heart on the verge of collapse. A small decision to forgive, to apologize, to return to prayer can redirect an entire life. The blessings I give you are the same. They carry the structure of a seed. They need you to receive them, to cherish them, to cooperate with them if they are to grow and blossom. If you let them fall on the hard ground of doubt, they will never rise. But if you plant them in trust, they will begin to sprout in secret, even before your eyes can see anything. I am searching for hearts that know how to open and dare to say, I believe that you are at work in me, even when I do not yet understand. I do not demand that you grasp every detail of my plans. I simply invite you to believe that I do not work at random. Everything that has happened and is happening in your life, joy or sorrow, loss or restoration, I am weaving together into one great tapestry. From below, you see only tangled threads, tight knots, a disorder that seems to make no sense. But from above, I see the finished image that I am patiently weaving each day from your very story. The blessings I give you are not scattered fragments, but strokes of color in a painting far larger than your understanding. Learn to listen for my voice in silence, in my word, in the small signs I send you each day. Do not wait for something dramatic before you come to me. Do not run to me only in crisis and then forget me when things are calm for a while. If you treat me only as the last resort for putting out fires, you will find it hard to recognize the subtle blessings I scatter along your way. When you grow accustomed to remaining in my word, to giving me honest spaces of time, your heart will become more sensitive. You will be less impulsive, less quick to judge, less easily dragged about by the noise of the world. And in that simple, uncluttered state, you will begin to notice what you once overlooked, things you thought were nothing worth mentioning. My spirit is always longing for a place to dwell fully, not hurriedly, not as a guest who comes and goes, but as one who remains and renews all things from within. He does not choose hearts that are shut tight, souls obsessed with protecting their own comfort zones, who do not want to be disturbed, touched, or asked to give. The Holy Spirit yearns to be poured out upon a life that knows how to share, that dares to give away part of itself so that others may be less hungry. that dares to stretch out its arms to embrace those who feel lost, that dares to let go of wounded pride in order to preserve unity, that dares to love even when love is not returned. If you want blessing to overflow in your life, let your heart become a welcoming home for my spirit, not cramped by selfishness, not weighed down by hatred, not cluttered with what is useless. My gaze has rested on you, not only since yesterday, and not only since the moment you became aware of my presence. Long before that, longer than any memory you carry. Before human history ever opened its first page, I had already thought of you. You did not appear in the flow of time by accident. You are not the product of a chain of coincidences, not an anonymous grain of sand drifting through the universe. You were formed within my will, called by name within my loving intention. Your life is not a rough draft, but a line of handwriting inscribed with tenderness, even if you cannot yet read it. It is no less real. The years you have lived, the events you have gone through, the people you have met, the choices you have made, I know them all. There are turns you have taken that did not belong to my original desire for you. Yet even when you chose another path, I did not abandon you. I do not tear up the scroll of your life just because some pages are stained. I patiently keep writing, correcting, threading light into the dark places. Many times you have wanted to stop writing and throw that book away because you felt there was nothing worthwhile left. But I have quietly held it in my hands, waiting for the day when you are peaceful enough to look at it with me and to realize that even in the chapters that seemed most lost, there were traces of my presence, a person I sent to you, a word I allowed you to hear, a coincidence that in truth was no coincidence at all. Now you are standing in a very important moment, not because some spectacular event is about to happen in the way the world imagines, but because your inner life is reaching a point of ripeness. Everything you have gone through, joys and sorrows, ups and downs, losses and recoveries, love and wounds, has kneaded your heart, making it deeper, more genuine, less full of illusion, and at the same time more ready to meet me in a mature way. This is the time when I want you not only to hear about your calling, but to begin to live it, not only to say, I believe God has a plan, but to actually walk as if that were an unquestionable truth. The day you begin to understand what I have prepared for you will not necessarily be marked by fireworks or festivals. Often it is just a very ordinary day. But something within you suddenly lights up in a way that is hard to explain. You realize that you no longer want to live the old way, no longer want to repeat the habits that slowly pull you away from the good, no longer want to hide forever in fear and false safety. You begin to ask me, what must I do to live true to what you have written for my life? And from the moment you sincerely ask that question, a new door has already opened. Do not doubt that my eyes are upon you and that I have chosen you. Even if your present circumstances are still tangled, even if you cannot yet see the way clearly, even if outwardly many things remain in disarray, your being chosen does not depend on how ready you are, but on how I love you. I do not regret calling your name. I am not disappointed by your delays. I do not grow weary of waiting for your return. As long as today, amid all the noise, you give me a space in which I can speak to you, in which you can listen and dare to respond, everything I have quietly prepared through the years will begin to unfold. Not all at once, but enough for you to know that you are no longer walking in the dark, enough for you to recognize that blessing is approaching, and that it began at the very moment you believed, yes, Lord, I am not someone left forgotten at the margins. I am the one you have thought of from all eternity. And now is the time for me to step into that with you, my beloved child. From all that I have been doing within your heart, I do not want it to end as a few touching moments that fade with time. I want it to become the rhythm of your daily life. Do not let me be only a memory of your most painful days. Let me become your constant breath, morning, noon, evening, and night. Each morning when you open your eyes, before you reach for your phone, before you think of work, before you let worries rush in, give me a little space in your mind and heart. Just whisper, Lord, today I come to you, and you have already stepped into the encounter I am always waiting for. I do not ask for complicated rituals. I simply long for you to come to me in the truth of who you are. Each day, bring your plans, your projects, the desires you are nurturing into my presence. Do not come to me only when everything has collapsed. Come also when things are still in their early, fragile beginnings. Tell me what you are thinking, what you want to do, how you are calculating and deciding. Do not be afraid that these things are too small or not spiritual enough to me. Every detail of your life matters. When you place each intention, each choice in my light, you will gradually recognize what aligns with my will and what is driven only by your own ego. I will gently adjust your course, opening and closing doors at the right time, so that you no longer have to stumble around in the fog alone. If you have doubts, things you do not understand, questions you have long been afraid to voice for fear of being judged as weak in faith, bring them all to me. I am not a judge waiting for you to misspeak so that I can condemn you. I am a father who wants to hear you speak honestly, who wants to know where you are confused, where you feel stuck. If something in Scripture, in life, in the events you have lived through, has left you bewildered, tell me directly. You can say, Lord, I do not understand why you allowed that to happen, and I will still receive you. I am not afraid of your questions. I am only saddened when you no longer dare to bring them to me. It is precisely such sincere conversations that make the relationship between us alive, real, and deep. Do not forget to bring your falls, your mistakes, your weaknesses to me each day. You do not need to wait until you are better before you dare to meet me. For without me, you will never truly improve. Name the things you know are not right, the reactions by which you have hurt others, the dark thoughts you try to hide. Do not distort them. Do not cover them up. Do not paint them in softer colors. I do not need a performance from you. I need your honesty. And when you dare to step out from behind your masks and stand before me with all your vulnerability, you will feel my mercy more clearly than ever. My forgiveness is not a slip of paper excusing you so that you can keep living as before. It is a power that breaks chains, that frees you from the cycle of sin and self-condemnation. Each time you bow your head and sincerely acknowledge your fault, I do not simply say, I forgive you, and then leave it at that. I place my hand upon that wound, soothe it, heal it, and breathe into you a new strength so that you can stand up and choose what is right the next time. You will find that you are no longer dragged along by your old habits as before, no longer feel utterly helpless before temptation. This is not because your own willpower has suddenly grown strong, but because I am quietly at work within you, supporting each small decision. That is why I want you to return to me every day, not to repeat your weakness endlessly, but so that you will never spend a day cut off from my life-giving strength. After the moments when you have opened your heart, spoken everything, wept everything, and laid down every burden, I do not want you to remain lying there. Rise. Believe that if I have forgiven and lifted you up, then you have no reason to imprison yourself in remorse any longer. Be ready to step back into life with a new stance, not as a defeated person trying to limp along, but as a child of God who has been restored and sent forth. True success in my eyes is not that you surpass others, but that you walk the path I have marked out for you, and complete the work I have entrusted to you. For this reason, every time you leave your time of prayer, I want you to step out with a gentle yet steady determination. Today, I will live as one who has been touched and renewed. You must remember that time does not stretch on endlessly as you imagine. History is not circling in a meaningless loop. One day, everything will be brought to a close, and the day of my return is not as distant as you think. Do not let this make you panic, let it awaken you. Every sunrise is a new opportunity, but it is also one less day among the days you have left to love, to forgive, to do good, to live your calling to the full. Do not keep postponing what you already know you must do, the apology still unspoken, the reconciliation not yet begun, the resolve to live a holy life that you keep leaving for tomorrow. Tomorrow does not always come in the way you expect. I let you know that time is short so that you may live awake, not so that you may drown in fear. There is still so much I long to accomplish through your life, not only in extraordinary moments, but right in the ordinary tasks, in your family, in the encounters that seem accidental. When you allow me to be at the center of all things, each ordinary day becomes fertile ground for what is extraordinary. You will see that miracles are not only healings or outward wonders, but deep transformations in your own heart and in the hearts of those you touch. Some miracles are a marriage rescued, a child drawn out of despair, someone who seemed to have lost faith beginning to come home. I desire to use you in these works, not because you are more worthy than others, but because you have walked through pain and you know what it means to be lifted up by me. Take my hand and move forward. Do not go back to living as though you had never met me. There were times when you walked alone in the dark, but now you no longer have to be solitary. When you choose to walk with me, you will discover that stretches of the path that once terrified you now become lighter, not because your circumstances have changed, but because you know you are no longer walking alone. Every decision you make in prayer, every endeavor begun with an act of surrender, will bear my mark. You may not see the results at once, but persevere. A seed sown in my light will never rot. Always remember that behind you, before you, and within your very life, there is always my support. Do not measure your worth by the gaze of others, by outward success, by the numbers you compare with someone else. You are precious not because of how much you accomplish, but because you belong to me. When you are weary, I uphold you. When you are lost, I seek you. When you stumble, I heal you. If you know that you are sheltered by me, you will dare to live more courageously, to say yes to things you once feared to accept, to step into places where I send you, even while your heart still trembles. I have for you a love that does not change, that does not depend on moods, that does not rise and fall with your successes or failures. I do not love you more when you do many things for me, nor do I love you less when you are weak and slow. What delights me is simply to see you return to me each day, that I may have the chance to speak with you, to guide you, to wipe away your tears, and to strengthen you. Within my heart there are so many good things I long to give you, many beautiful plans for your future and for those you love. I do not keep these hidden like secrets. I want to share them, to confide in you, to let you take part in my plan rather than merely stand outside and watch. You imagine blessing to be something distant, yet, in truth, it is right before your eyes, hidden in the small things that you do not yet recognize. Each day you set aside time for me, each time you choose to forgive, each moment you place the good of another above your ego. You are opening doors that I have already prepared. The reward is not merely material or outward success, but first of all an interior peace, a family gradually being restored, relationships being healed, generations to come, tasting the fruit of your faithfulness. All of this is blessing, is grace, is gift that I have already arranged, simply waiting for you to step into the rhythm of life with me so that you may receive it. In the days ahead, if you continue to cling closely to me, they will no longer be a string of meaningless days, but a journey taken step by step, filled with a deep and quiet joy. That joy does not depend on whether everything goes according to your wishes, but springs from knowing that you are walking in the right direction, that your hand is being held and guided. Your family and those dear to you will gradually sense the change within you, and they will share in that light. I desire that this joy not remain only in your own soul, but spread into the atmosphere of your home, your work, your relationships. When you allow me to be present in the midst of your life, your home will become a refuge for many weary hearts, and you yourself will be the first to experience that fullness. Therefore, do not wait until you are completely fine to begin. Do not wait until you are no longer busy, no longer worried, no longer struggling before you draw near to me. Start right in your present condition, still unsure, still wounded in many places, still with many things unresolved. Come to me as you are, each day, bringing both what is beautiful and what is broken, both your joys and your sorrows. Each encounter like that will add a little more light, a little more peace, a little more direction, and little by little, in just this way, I will trace in your life a path that becomes clearer, brighter, and fuller of the very things you once thought you would never be worthy to receive. I wait for you, not occasionally, but every day. Do not let this invitation pass by like so many things you have heard and then forgotten. Try living this way for a time. Come to me in the morning. Remember me at midday. Return to my arms in the evening. Lay everything before me. Ask me. Listen to me. And then walk forward in trust. You will be surprised to find that even if the outward shape of your life has not changed much, within you, everything is different, more steady, more peaceful, more deep, and more overflowing with the graces I have promised for you and for those you love. You only need to begin. The rest, leave to me, my beloved child. I see very clearly the dark fog that so often settles over your mind, the discouraging thoughts, the negative phrases you repeat to yourself until even you begin to believe they are the truth. You tell yourself that you are too weak, too flawed, too broken, unworthy of anything good, and certainly unworthy of the promises I have made to you. You stare at your wounds, your mistakes, your many falls, and conclude that you yourself are nothing but a sentence waiting to be carried out. But today I want you to know that I am slowly peeling away those heavy layers from your mind. I am like a patient father, bending down to loosen each invisible chain that has bound your soul. The chains of discouragement, of self-contempt, of a long-drawn sense of helplessness that you cannot even name. I do not come to blame you, to interrogate you, to dig deeper into what you have done wrong. I come to wipe your eyes so that you can look at yourself and at your future with a new gaze. The gaze of someone who knows they are forgiven and loved to the very end. The things that have weighed so heavily on your heart, the sense of debt, the haunting memories of wrong choices, the long nights torn between remorse and fear, I do not ignore them. I step into that place as one who is both a just judge and a merciful father. On the scales of justice, sin does deserve its price, yet in my heart, love seeks a way to set you free. I have taken upon myself the sentence that belonged to you. I allowed evil to think it had won, only so that one day you could lift your head and hear me say, that debt is no longer in the books, not because you managed to erase it, but because I, myself, have torn up the record that accused you and have swept aside every argument the enemy used to corner you. The accusations it whispers in your ear that you are unworthy of favor, that you have gone too far, that blessings are for others and not for you, all of them become powerless when I declare, I forgive you. I will not bring it up again. I choose to remember you as a child coming home, not as a guilty one who should be ashamed. You once believed that the consequences of your own mistakes would forever block your way, slamming shut the door of your future. But understand this, I do not promise to erase every trace of your past. Yet I guarantee that nothing will have the power to stop the good I intend for you. As long as you allow me to lead you, the wrongs you have done may leave scars. But when placed in my hands, those scars cease to be reasons to exclude you from grace, and instead become testimony to a rescue, a deliverance from a chasm that seemed to have no exit. The enemy wants to use those very memories to paralyze you, whispering, you are ruined. What more can you hope for? But I touch those same memories and say, from now on, they are only the starting point for the new work I will do in your life. Where you once fell, there I can raise you up more steadfast, more humble, more compassionate. No darkness can overshadow the plan I have written for you once you agree to let me enter in and reign, while the whole world trembles with fear, bad news, and instability. It is very easy for you to be swept into that same current of anxiety. People run here and there looking for a hiding place. Some lean on money. Others cling to connections. Still, others stubbornly believe their own strength is enough to carry them through everything. You too have sometimes wanted to be like them, to build for yourself a safe house out of the guarantees this world can offer. But, my child, for you I have opened another way. You do not have to run aimlessly through the marketplace in search of shelter. You have the privilege of stepping straight into the innermost place of my house, right up to my throne of glory, without an appointment, without an interview, without needing to prove your worth. From the day I called you, my child, that door has been opened and no one has the right to close it, while others must knock on earthly doors and hope to be received. You can enter my presence at any time, in any place, with nothing more than a whisper from the depths of your heart. I do not see you as a stranger begging for favors, but as my own child coming home after a long journey. You may draw near, sit down, and speak to me about your fears, about the things you cannot say to anyone else. I do not rush to judge. I listen. When you call, I do not pretend to be busy. I am never indifferent to the cry of a sincere heart. In this world, many may grow tired of hearing your repeated story, weary of your persistent weaknesses, but I do not. For me, every time you come back is something new. Every prayer of yours is a gesture of trust that I cherish. You do not stand before me as a beggar, but as an heir, one who has the right to call me father and to believe that your words do not fall into empty space. I want you to learn to see yourself in this light no longer as someone always on the margins, but as one who dwells right in the center of my heart. The world will continue to be in turmoil. The unrest will not cease immediately, and the storms outside may grow even more violent. But your hope must not be placed in things that change from day to day, but in the one who does not change. I do not tell you to pretend you see no danger, nor do I ask you to switch off your emotions. I invite you, rather, not to let fear become king in your heart. I myself am your refuge. When all the news pouring into your ears is filled only with reasons to be anxious, remember that you have another place to return to, another voice to listen to. Do not build your dwelling on passing feelings. Root your trust in me, the one who does not make half promises and who does not turn his back when things become difficult. I have promised that I will not abandon you, and I am not accustomed to breaking my word. Many times you have abandoned me, gone far away, forgotten me for months at a time. And yet, whenever you return, you find me where I have always been. Not gone anywhere, not changed my address, not closed my door in anger. If I have been that faithful to you during the years when you hardly paid attention to me, what reason do you have to fear that I would leave you now? When you are actually trying to come home, what I long for you to learn is how to stand firm, even when the ground seems to be shaking. Standing firm does not mean you will never tremble or never cry. It means you choose not to let the gusts of emotion blow you off the foundation of grace. You have been set upon a solid foundation, my love. My faithfulness, my promise in which I have engraved your name on the palm of my hand. Hold fast to this whenever you feel yourself wavering. Do not change course simply because you sense my silence for a short season. Silence does not mean my absence. Sometimes it is only a pause for you to look again at what you are standing on. Be steadfast in your choice to stand on my side, even when everything around you pulls you in another direction. Faithfulness is not a constant intensity of feeling, but the decision not to turn away even when your heart feels cold. And it is precisely in those seemingly dry moments that I am quietly tightening the bond between us. You used to think that you could stand tall only when circumstances were calm, when life was tidy, when everything was under control. But I want you to discover something deeper. You can rise up in the very midst of darkness. You can hold fast to faith right in the middle of the fiercest collisions. Not because you are strong enough, but because I am the one who fights for you. I place in your hands a power you often do not believe. You possess the power to speak in the face of the storms howling around you. The power to name peace in the midst of chaos. The power to refuse to remain a victim forever. You have become accustomed to letting situations drag you along. When things go well, you are glad. When they go badly, you despair. Today I want to teach you how to reverse this so that your own words, springing from trust in me, begin to shape your circumstances. When fear rises up, do not just swallow it in silence. Open your mouth. Call me Father. Declare that you belong to me, that you refuse to let darkness take over your mind. You will not be used to this at once, but I invite you to try. When a fresh wave of anxiety breaks over you, when conflicts, misunderstandings, and wounds close in around you, stop. Take a deep breath, and remember that you are not a helpless pawn being dragged along. You can speak to me, and you can even speak to the very storms roaring inside you. I trust in my God. I do not belong to fear. I choose the peace of the Lord. This is not a denial of reality, but placing reality in its proper place at my feet. When you do this, you are lifting your hands, not in surrender to defeat, but in the posture of victory. Victory before you see the outcome. Victory because you believe that I am at work behind the curtain. Conflicts may try to strangle you, but each time you respond with surrender instead of panic, you are defeating the invisible trap waiting to swallow your soul. My beloved child, do not think that all of this is only beautiful consolation. I invite you to live truly what I am saying, to try taking just small steps a day that begins with an act of surrender instead of complaint, one gentle response instead of an outburst, a simple prayer for peace in the middle of turmoil. Each time you do this, you are agreeing to let the stream of grace flow through you, to take my hand as we pass through the battle together instead of charging into it alone. I have already stood above every storm before they even formed, and I hold your hand as you walk through them. If you let me go with you, you will discover that the things that once made you tremble no longer have the right to rule. They become only a backdrop against which my faithfulness and your trust can shine more clearly. And then one day, looking back, you will understand it was not that you were capable, but that I did not abandon you for a single moment. It was not that you were strong, but that you allowed me to become the only strength of your life. From that moment on, you will no longer look at storms with the old eyes, because deep within you will know that you belong to the one who speaks a single word, and the wind and waves grow calm, and you, his little child, are allowed to share in that mighty word through your own voice and your own life. My beloved child, after all that I have been doing within your heart, now I want gently but firmly to remind you of something very important. You must not hand over your destiny entirely to anyone who is, like you, only human. You may love them, respect them, learn from them, but do not treat any person as the ultimate answer for your life. For even those you admire most, those you think could never fall, can grow weary, make mistakes, be weak, even lose their way. When you place all your hope in a human being, then when that person collapses, your own heart will shatter with them. I do not want your heart to be enslaved to the image of anyone. I want you to be free to love others without turning them into idols that take my place in your heart. You may walk alongside them and receive help from them, but do not forget that they need me no less than you do. There are moments when, because you are longing to be supported, you are easily overwhelmed by those who appear strong, dazzling, and seemingly full of sacred power. They speak with great certainty, stand in high positions, are surrounded by many people, and so you think that as long as you cling to them you will be safe. But my child, alongside those who are truly chosen by me, there are also those who only put on a cloak of virtue to hide their ego, their pride, or very worldly calculations. They know how to strike at your fears, your insecurity, your sense of lack, so that you become dependent on them. They promise quick solutions, easy shortcuts, instant miracles. As long as you offer them this or that, as long as you obey every demand without daring to discern. I do not want you to be bewitched by such appearances and forget that true salvation is never exchanged like a commodity. Be truly sober in front of those who try to impress by noise and show. Not everyone who shouts my name, who raises their hands, beats their chest, and weeps, truly belongs to me. What moves me is not the volume of the cry, but the sincerity of the heart. Those who use my name to build their own reputation, to attract, to dominate, to seek profit, are turning what is sacred into a tool for display. They may speak a great deal about faith, yet lack humility. They may recount countless miracles, yet do not lead souls to deep conversion. I have already said that not everyone who cries, Lord, Lord, will be acknowledged. What is decisive is whether the heart and the life truly lean toward me. Therefore, do not rush to place your whole trust in what is only outward glitter. There will be people who come and declare that they can change your whole life if you perform certain rites, contribute a certain amount of money, or offer certain gifts. They turn me into someone who accepts bribes in the form of offerings and turn you into a customer who must pay a price to gain favor. Remember that my love is never for sale, never measured by money, never measured by outward display. The more they rely on dramatic promises and exalt themselves as an indispensable intermediary, the more cautious you must be. The miracles that truly come from me always draw the soul closer to truth, closer to repentance, closer to deep peace. Whatever merely excites curiosity and fleeting emotion and then leaves a chasm of emptiness inside you is not what I desire. Be brave enough to let go of people and places that make you feel increasingly dependent on them rather than attached to me. I call you to place the one foundation of your life in me, not in any created thing. I am the one who formed you out of nothing, the one who understands every beat in your chest, the one who descended to the very depths of darkness to draw you out. No one understands the history of your life as I do. No one knows more precisely than I what you need in order to live to the full. I am not merely a religious idea. I am the one who is present, who is alive, who sees, who hears, who speaks to you each day. If you build your life on fragile foundations, everything will collapse when the storm comes. But if you choose me as your support, you may be shaken, tossed about, wounded. Yet deep within, there will remain a place. Nothing can touch the place where you and I belong to one another. I also want you to learn how to discern the voices in your life. Around you, there are so many sounds, the words of people, rumors, judgments, threats, seductions, and sometimes within your own heart there arise conflicting voices, the voice of fear, of shame, of pride, of weariness. In the midst of that turmoil, my voice does not come with noise and clamor, but like a gentle breeze, an unexpected clarity, a tender prompting that draws you toward what is good. My voice does not throw you into panic. Even if it may shake you deeply, it always leads you toward greater freedom, greater mercy, greater truth. When you stay close to me, you will gradually learn to recognize what is my voice and what comes from forces that want to pull you away from the light. Do not be quick to believe anything just because it is accompanied by my name. Look at where it leads you, closer to me or farther away, into peace or into confusion, into love or into division. Do not be surprised if, when others are shrouded in gloom, you sense within yourself a glimmer of light that is hard to explain. I do not promise to keep you from every trial, but I promise to give you a joy deeper than anything happening on the surface. Others may despair and think they cannot go on. Yet I want you to become a living testimony that it is still possible to rise again, even after many falls. Not because you are braver, but because you allow me to lift you up. Each morning when you open your eyes, even if you are still tired, you can still whisper, I want to live one more day in your presence. That whisper, seemingly so small, is the very place where I pour into you the strength to take another step when many around you have already grown weary and given up. My spirit is not a gust of wind that blows once and then vanishes. He desires to dwell within you, to guard you, to guide your soul moment by moment. When you feel exhausted, with no strength or motivation left, a simple cry, please help me, is enough for him to begin to act. He reminds you of the words I have spoken, brings back to life old hopes you thought were buried, and awakens in you capacities you yourself had denied. I do not demand a perfect faith from you. I wait for you in sincerity. If you dare to tell me that you want to believe, even while you are still afraid, I will take that small beginning and make it grow. Now I invite you not only to listen with your mind, but to let your whole body enter into prayer. Seek a moment of stillness. Even if there is still much noise around you, you can close your eyes and gently place your hand over your chest, where your heart is quietly working without cease. Feel each beat. It is not merely a biological sign. It is a sign that you are being kept in this life for a reason. In that silence, imagine that I am sitting right in front of you, not distant, not cold, but very near, very real, very gentle. You do not need many words. Simply whisper from your deepest place, I trust you, even though I do not yet understand everything. I want to take your hand. In that very moment I will do what I always long to do, pour into you the peace that the world cannot give and cannot take away. Allow your soul to taste what it is like to be filled, not by human flattery, not by external recognition, but by a love without conditions. I will quietly fill the empty spaces where you once tried to stuff so many other things: success, relationships, control, beautiful illusions. I will replace them with a deep gentleness, A sense that you are not alone, that there is one who is always at your side, who always understands you, even when no one else does. The more time you give me, the less turmoil you will feel within, not because everything outside is instantly improving, but because inside you there begins to be a firm place, a solid rock on which you can rest without fear of being dragged away again. You are living in days when adversity is like a whirlwind, blowing relentlessly against every side of your life: work, family, health, relationships, future. At times you feel like a small boat in a stormy sea, with every bad news, every crack, every wounding word like a wave lifting you up only to slam you down. There have been moments when you thought you would sink, lose your bearings, never see the shore again. Yet precisely when you cried out from the depths, "Please save me," I stepped upon that very wave to draw near to you. The first thing I do is not to explain why the storm rose, but to lay my hand upon your soul. When I speak, the storm outside may not stop at once, but the tempest within you will begin to calm. I once commanded the wind and the sea to be still with a single word, and I can do the same with the inner chaos of your heart. What I desire is that you allow me to enter that deepest place, where you are still trying to hide the fear of being abandoned, the shame of failure, the anger of being misunderstood. When you hand these over to me, I do not discard them, I heal them. I will raise up your soul and strengthen your inner being so that you can stand firm in days of shifting winds. I want to set you upon rock, not on sand that washes away. That rock is the truth that you are loved, chosen, guarded, that your worth does not depend on praise or blame or circumstances, but on the way I look at you. Once you begin to live from this foundation, even if the storm remains, you will be able to endure without shattering. You will no longer chase every gust of public opinion or be swept up by empty promises from those who exalt themselves. You will know how to bow your head before me, yet walk with your head held high in the midst of the world. And each time the waves strike, instead of panicking, you will immediately remember the one who stands by your side. You will know that my hand is still extended and does not withdraw. You need only keep holding on. Keep trusting. Keep returning whenever you loosen your grip. In that perseverance, you will see yourself gradually becoming a new person, calmer, more profound, less easily deceived by appearances, more attached to God than to anything else. And that, my beloved, is what I have long cherished for you. Not a life without storms, but a heart that knows how to stand upon the rock. A soul that knows to trust in me alone in the midst of the greatest winds of this life. My beloved child, I know there are moments when you stand in the in-between, no longer wanting to return to the past that exhausted you, yet not quite brave enough to step into the future that still lies in mist. Your mind is like a silent harbor where the little boat of your dreams has long ceased to set sail, tied fast by the ropes of fear and doubt. The world, with its words of contempt, its scornful looks, its memories of past failures, is like a series of harsh waves battering the sides of your boat, making you think it is safer to let the vessel of your life remain motionless in one place. But my child, I did not create you to remain forever moored in that fragile safety. I created you to set out to sea, so that the wind of the Spirit can fill the sails of your life and you can realize that, amid all tempests, you still have a direction and you still have one who stands at the bow, watching over you. Many times you have heard me call, "Go forward," yet you look back toward the shore where old wounds still smolder, where the indifferent words of others still echo in your memory. You can't do anything, that's all you'll ever be. Those words are like icy headwinds trying to snuff out the fragile sparks of hope just kindled in your heart. You begin to believe that dreams are only for those who are braver, more talented, better equipped, while you should simply accept a life that drifts by colorlessly. Yet even when you think this way, I persist in standing there on your little boat, my hand resting gently on the sail, waiting for you to loosen the ropes. I do not scold you for hesitating, nor do I mock your weakness. I simply wait for the moment when you dare to utter one small sentence, Lord. I want to put out to sea with you. Then my wind will begin to blow more strongly, not to overturn your boat, but to carry you away from the dark shore that has held you back for so long. Try to imagine this if a boat always stays moored at the pier, avoiding every wave. It will never know what it was made for. Boats are not built to become decorations on the shore, but to face the open sea. In the same way, you were not created to live resignedly, confined within the small circles of fear, letting the harsh words of others define your worth. I know those wounding words have made your heart ache, have extinguished many good plans, have led you to tell yourself, better stop dreaming. Yet if you continue to let those voices govern the course of your life, your boat will keep turning in circles in shallow waters, never reaching the deep where I am waiting for you. The storms are not meant to drown your dreams, but to teach you how to lean on me in every rocking of the waves. What I desire from you is very simple when the storm rises, when reproach, misunderstanding, or insults surround you. Do not rush to stare down into the deep black water below, or fixate on the waves foaming all around. Lift your eyes and look for me. I am not standing far away on a safe shore, commanding you to fight alone. I am on your very boat, in the midst of the turmoil with you, and my eyes do not leave you for a single instant. When you fix your gaze on the raging winds, fear will swell and make you think you are about to sink. But if you fix your gaze on me, your heart will gradually realize that no matter how hard the waters pound, you are not alone. I am the support that keeps you balanced, the compass that gives you direction, the captain who knows exactly which way to go to avoid the rocks. Your task is not to control the storm, but to keep your eyes from leaving the one who leads you. You may feel your shoulders sagging under so many worries, family responsibilities, the pressure of daily needs, tangled relationships, the fatigue of efforts that seem to bear no fruit. There are moments when you sigh and say to me, I can't take it anymore, it's too heavy, I can't carry it. I hear those words clearly, and I do not see them as a sign of weakness, but as a very real cry for help from a child who has long been used to bearing everything alone. I have never asked you to carry the whole boat on your back. I only invite you to let me share the burdens with you. There are many things you are clutching that I never asked you to hold: the obsession with looking good in the eyes of others, the need always to be praised, the habit of comparing yourself with everyone else. These things make your backpack swell and leave you exhausted even before you step onto the boat. I want to teach you, slowly, how to lay them down, to let go of unhealthy expectations, of false images of yourself, of pointless self-reproach. Then, for what remains, the real responsibilities, the unavoidable trials, I will shoulder them with you. The patience I ask of you is not blind resignation, pretending there is no storm, nor a careless attitude that lets everything drift as it will. The patience I desire is your acceptance that some stretches of the road cannot be shortened, that some lessons can only be learned by passing through them, not by going around them. Each day you face difficulties. I am quietly strengthening the inner muscles you cannot see with your eyes, the capacity to endure without becoming bitter, to stand firm without panic, to trust without needing to see the outcome beforehand. Today you may feel yourself trembling before a small trial, but if you allow me to walk with you, tomorrow you will look back in amazement that what once kept you awake at night has become only a warm-up exercise. Your strength does not appear out of nowhere. It grows little by little in those moments when you want to give up, yet still whisper to me, I am tired. but I will not let go of your hand. You need to learn to trust me, not only with words but with decisions. Trust is not merely a warm feeling during prayer or a few emotional moments when you hear a song. It is choosing to stand on my side even when everything around you seems to oppose it. When pressure comes, you have two choices. Either let it crush you, or let it become the force that pushes you deeper into trust. I do not promise that if you believe you will never feel anxiety. I only promise that your anxiety will no longer have the power to rule you. You may still tremble, but you will not turn back. You may still be confused, but you will not let go of my hand. And in that very process, your faith will become solid. No longer a vague idea, but your daily breath. At some point you will realize that what holds you is not the strength of your grip on me, but the strength of my hand that is always holding you. You often measure everything by your immediate emotions if all goes smoothly. You think I am near if everything is in turmoil. You assume I have gone far away. But my dear child, feelings are only the waves on the surface, while my love and my plan for you are like the deep ocean current beneath, flowing steadily even when the surface is stormy. The anxieties that squeeze your chest today, the pressures that make you want to give up, the piled up questions. Who knows where all this is going? All of these are real. I do not deny them. I do not ask you to pretend you are fine, but I ask you to place them on the scale against the joy I am quietly preparing, and you will see that the two cannot be compared. The relief of knowing you have walked through a hard stretch without giving up. The emotion you feel when you see a new door open after so many times you thought every way was blocked. The peace of seeing others lifted up by the very painful experiences you have lived through. These are forms of happiness that no pressure in this world can ever replace. The blessing I have for you is not a gift that suddenly falls from the sky for you to enjoy for a moment and then be done with. It is the fruit of a cooperation between the grace I give and the effort with which you respond. When you persevere in remaining on your little boat, when you allow my wind to carry you instead of turning the bow back to shore each time you meet a wave, when you keep on forgiving, keep on choosing what is good and wholesome even when others do not understand, you are sowing seeds that one day will blossom into a field of joy. On the day the blessing comes, you will not see it as something strange, but as the natural result of a journey of trust. You will no longer say, with a doubting heart, "Why do I deserve this?" But you will smile and whisper, "I knew you would not abandon me." And that joy will not be a loud burst of laughter, but a deep and quiet peace that makes you, even as you look back on the stormy days, feel your heart overflow with gratitude, because it was precisely those days that taught you how to cling to me. I want you to remember that what I am doing in you is not only for the present, but also for the days to come, for the people you will meet, for the souls you will unknowingly touch. When you dare to let the sail of your life be filled by my wind, you will not travel alone. There will be smaller boats, more lost, more fragile, that will look at you amid the waves and find courage. You do not need to shout loudly about your faith. You only need to keep going. Keep your course. Keep your eyes fixed on me. The image of a person who dares to live like that in a world full of change is already a powerful testimony. And every step you take, every gust of wind that pushes you forward, will be a quiet yet mighty answer to all the insults, the false judgments, and the old fears that once tried to keep you from moving at all. So, my beloved, do not shrink back any longer. Let me, with all my love and my power, stand in the same boat with you, take hold of the helm with you, share the long nights with you. You do not have to prove yourself to me. I have known you well since before you even knew what it was to fear a storm. The only thing I ask of you is that you do not lock the door of your heart against hope. Accept that you can still go on, that these trembling hands can still pull the ropes of the sail. that this once broken heart can still love, still trust, and still receive new things. If you dare to raise the sail and let your boat leave the shore, leave the rest to me, the wind, the direction, the strength, the perseverance, and even the joy that will blossom later. All of it I have already prepared for you. You only need to step aboard and say to me, in a voice so gentle yet powerful enough to make heaven tremble, Lord, I believe you will lead me through. In this very moment, open your heart wide, draw near to me, and whisper to me the most sincere prayers that rise up from the depths of your soul. Almighty God, who sees both the vastness of the universe and the tiniest speck of dust, today I come before you with a heart that has so often been ungrateful and inattentive. I have grown used to chasing after great and dazzling things, forgetting that you usually enter my life through very small signs, quiet opportunities, and people who seem to have nothing remarkable about them. Lord, please forgive me for the times I have made light of your blessings, for the times I have passed by your invitations simply because they did not look like what I was expecting. Please open the eyes of my soul so that I may value what seems ordinary another day to wake up. A family still beside me, a job that is tiring yet honest, a friend who knows how to listen, a chance to serve even if no one praises me. Teach me to see life in your light, so that I may recognize that every blessing, whatever form it takes, flows from a loving heart. Please shape and mold me, so that I no longer run after outward grandeur, but learn to bow down, receive, and care for the small gifts of grace that you are sending each day, so that my life itself may become a living hymn of thanksgiving to you, good and loving Father, who cherishes little and humble hearts. I come to you in the truth about myself. I am weak, easily discouraged, prone to comparing, easily hurt when I see others more gifted and prominent than I am. Many times I have excluded myself from your plan. I have told myself, that is not for me. Surely God only uses people who are better and more talented than I am. Today I ask you to forgive that attitude, because deep down it is a way of resisting your loving will for my life. Please help me to accept my smallness, not by giving up, but by believing that you can do great things precisely through those limitations. Teach me to take my place among the humble ones whom you delight in, those who do not think of themselves as the center, who do not seek lofty positions, but only desire to be where you want them to be. Do not let me run away from my calling out of inferiority, and do not let me forget, out of pride, that every good thing in me is a gift. Father, pour your Holy Spirit upon me, that he may shape and renew me and help me become a docile instrument in your hands, ready to be used by you at any time, in any place, and in whatever way you see is good for me and for those I meet. Almighty God, I bow my head in gratitude to you, because among so many people who are more talented, more prominent, and seemingly more worthy in the eyes of the world, you still quietly set your gaze on me. I thank you because you do not choose me for my achievements, my appearance, or what I possess. You choose me in my very simplicity and clumsiness, in the very places where I feel ashamed of myself. I thank you for not abandoning me in those moments when I rejected myself, when I said, I am not worthy, and you whispered back, I choose you, when I thought, I can't do anything worthwhile. You patiently prepared small tasks so that I could learn to step out when I placed myself on the margins. You stepped out, took my hand, and led me into the very heart of your loving plan. Please accept from me this deep thanksgiving for such mercy. Teach me to honor the grace of being chosen, not with pride, but with a humble life, diligently doing small things with great love, so that each day I may glorify you more in the midst of the world. Most merciful Father, today I want to pause, to ask for nothing, but simply to thank you for the graces that, for so long, I have carelessly or deliberately left unmentioned. I thank you, Lord, for the mornings when I can still open my eyes, for the breath that still moves gently in my chest, for hands and feet that can still work, for those who still love me and those whom I am able to love. I thank you for blessings that seem ordinary yet are in fact immeasurably precious, a meal that is enough to fill me, a roof that shelters me from sun and rain, a place to return to after my weariness, a little corner where I can pray. I thank you for the difficulties that have helped me grow, the losses that have taught me to cherish, the interruptions that have made me stop and re-examine my life. Please forgive me for the times I have only seen what you have not yet given and forgotten to contemplate all that you have generously poured out long ago. Let gratitude become the new rhythm of my life, so that each day I live, whether calm or stormy, may be woven with sincere words of thank you. Lord, I offer this prayer in the holy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.